Hi, WLE, small group facilitators. If you're seeing this, then you're likely to be scheduled for the small group facilitation that occurs during a session one of the Women's Leadership Experience on day two in the afternoon. Typically, that's going to be on a Wednesday afternoon. I have lots of written information that will help you think about how you would like to conduct the session. But I thought I'd add just a video message to you about the intent of the session and ideally what you might accomplish, just so you can hear it from a person rather than just have to read that. So the notion is that a lot of our women participants who show up for WLE have this idea in their head that their hard work would be simply recognized and rewarded, and that they don't necessarily have to advocate for themselves. And day two of the Women's Leadership Experience is all about preparing them to advocate for themselves in some appropriate ways. Some of them may already be doing that, and that's fine. Maybe this will help them hone their message. Others may not have thought about advocating for themselves, and this is going to give them some practice in doing so and some thoughts about choosing their words accordingly. So, with that in mind, the theme for the day is around agency and being your own agent. So if you think about what a talent agent does for an actor, helps them get the right auditions, helps them get the right compensation for their movies, helps them think about their brand so that if you're going for an Oscar at some point, then you probably don't want to put yourself in Sharknado 6, for example. So that's the notion, is to get them thinking about how do they be their own agent. And we do that through the lens of brand and thinking about what your brand is, how people experience your leadership, how that may contribute or not to you getting the opportunities that you would like to get. So we start the day off with the women thinking about what is their favorite brand. And all kinds of examples come up. Very rarely is anything repeated. The ones I hear most are Amazon and Apple, but White House Black Market, Tom's, Whole Foods, all kinds of clothing labels, all kinds of restaurants. So people think about their favorite brand, and then I ask them, what about that brand makes you loyal to that brand over the competition? And so they respond to that. What is the unique value that brand brings to you? And they respond to that. And the perfect example that I have for you is one of my participants one time said that Apple was her favorite brand because it's intuitive and everything talks to itself, etc. And she said, Apple doesn't even make the best phones. Samsung does. But because the rest of the Apple ecosystem is so strong, I still buy an iPhone even though Samsung is the best phone because I'm loyal to the overall brand. Which gave me the perfect segue to say, exactly, that's what I want people saying about you. I want them to have a clear idea of the value that you bring, and why they would be loyal to you as a leader, why they would choose you for a plum assignment, despite the fact that you might be missing this piece or that piece. So that kind of segues us into thinking about brand from another aspect, about leadership brand. A couple of the comments that I make are around that even if you don't think about a brand, a leadership brand, you have one. I have a quote from Jeff Bezos that says something along the lines of, your leadership brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room, which is a little gossipy, but I roll with it anyway. I talk about the importance of curating your yeses. So if you think about an art gallery and getting ready to produce a show, like what fits thematically with the art show theme, and what doesn't. And so how do you curate your yeses so that you make sure that your limited, finite energy is focused on what it is that you're trying to accomplish? So once we do that, then we move into an exercise where I have 3 different samples of 360 data. And all I've got is that, I think it's page 3 in the WLE 360, that has, the importance columns, and then it has the all raters and the self ratings, and it's just for the 15 competencies. And the only columns I have populated on my sample pages, and we actually make them poster size in flip chart size, full color, are the only thing populated on there is all observers and self. So you get a chance to see how all observer. Do I have self even populated? I don't even have self populated. The only thing that's populated is all observers. So you just get a sense of how people experience that sample's leadership via the 360. There are 3 different samples. The first sample is someone who is a hard charger, makes a lot of decisions, gets stuff done, has a trail of bruised, bloodied, battered bodies behind them. That's sample 1. Sample 2 is everybody loves them, but nothing's getting done. The third sample is a brilliant individual contributor who has impulse control issues and is not politically savvy. And so the way she presents information gets in the way of people being able to hear and operationalize her brilliance. And so she might end up marginalized. What I'm asking the women to do, we break the group into 3 different groups, and the groups break out and go to each one goes to a poster. Each group goes to one of the sample posters. And I tell them, you're a selection committee. This is all the information you have. Everybody is technically qualified. You're not choosing from among the 3. All I want you to tell me is, if you were to choose this candidate, what are this candidate's strengths? What would be the concerns you would have when you choose them? What kind of coaching might they need in order to be successful in leading a group? And then final question is, what does this 360 data sample tell you about this person's leadership brand? What are they saying about them when they leave the room? And so they analyze each group analyzes their respective poster, and then they rotate as they conclude. They rotate around so that everybody has seen all 3 posters. As you might imagine, nearly everybody sees a little bit of themselves in one of the posters. So trying to get them to think about leadership brand through the lens of a 360. We report out, and then we ask the women to go and look for, go and reopen their 360, which they would have gotten the previous day, and see, what does that 360 suggest to you about what your leadership brand is? How are people experiencing your leadership? And is that the experience that you want people to have? Is that the experience that is going to get you to the career goal that you're most interested in? So they do that reflection, have some small group conversation, take a break, come back. Final activity of day 2 morning, tease them up for the afternoon. So this starts to be where you come in. The setup is that for the rest of the morning that they're going to be preparing for a job interview, and it's like the dream job. They're completely technically qualified. The team is bright and creative and eager to learn and eager to follow. It gives them all kinds of opportunities for work-life balance. Like, you as a woman leader could not have written a better job description if you had tried. You really want this job. And the competition is strong. The organization really could not go wrong choosing any of their options. You've cleared the technical components of the interview, and you are now to the point that the interviewer is asking you questions about your leadership. And you are, through your words, advocating for yourself, describing your unique value, and saying why you should be chosen. So there are a series of 6 questions that the participants will prepare responses to in the morning, including 6 months from now, what will a team be saying that they love about working with you? Where will they say that they're challenged? What is the unique value that you can bring to a team, etc.? So there's 6 questions that are along those lines, and then there's 6 additional questions, and all of this is in your written information. I asked the participants to definitely think through the 6 questions, primary questions, but to recognize that if they're giving 1- and 2-word answers during their interview, that their interviewer is going to get into the second set of 6 questions. So they are preparing to be their own agent, to describe to the interviewer, that's you, what their unique value is. So we go to the afternoon. The first thing I'll do in the afternoon when they return from the lunch is we're going to show the Amy Cuddy video about Fake It Till You Make It. I can't remember the exact name of it. It's the one where the science has come into question recently. I still think that it has incredible face validity and has an important message. So I'm going to put a caveat around the science and say, take the science with a grain of salt because it's come under some question. But it's just kind of a fun way to lighten the mood and set them up for the afternoon. At which point, you will come into the room after the TED Talk from Amy Cuddy, introduce yourselves, small groups up on the board. You'll take your small group and go to your lab. You will set up the exercise, telling people what's going to happen, and then you will send everybody but one person out of the room. If you are close to the classroom, you send them back to the classroom. If you are a little further away from the classroom, your coordinator will let you know that you have a holding lab very nearby your lab so that you can send the rest of the group to that lab so that they don't have to walk very far to get to you. You are, for 5 to 7 minutes, going to record an interview with that participant, and you are the interviewer, and you are asking those questions around 6 months from now. What will teams be saying about what they love about you? What's your unique value proposition? Again, the setup is that what's come before in the interview is that this person, you've discovered this person is completely technically qualified for whatever the job is. And now you're to the leadership portion. So 5 to 7 minutes, I would go on, I don't know, maybe 6 minutes. I mean, at the end of the day, it's probably neither here nor there. You are not bound to the exact wording of the questions. And if there's a good follow-up question that is not on the sheet, I invite you to ask it. So I want you to put yourself in the role of an interviewer and put yourself in the shoes of an interviewer and interview that participant and ask them questions to get them to describe in positive terms what they bring in terms of their leadership brand, why you should select them for the role. Once that 5 to 7 minute interview is completed, you're going to say thank you, send them out. You're going to ask them to send the next person in, and you're going to interview that person. All of this is while the camera's rolling. And so eventually you will cycle through each of your small group participants. And then finally, once all the participants are done, then you bring them all into the room, and you are going to watch the video. And everybody is going to be able to provide feedback to that participant, to each participant, on what they like about word choice. Are there places where the word choice could be stronger? How are the nonverbals? Does I call it the audio match the video? Are they coming in and saying, well, I'm a really strong leader? And their nonverbals, again, their audio doesn't match their video, and therefore they've got an opportunity for maybe the words match their brand, but the nonverbals don't. So you're paying attention to posture and gestures and eye contact and volume of voice and tone of voice and word choice. And those are the kinds of things that I would invite you to give feedback on and invite the participants to give feedback on. There is a handout for participants to complete while they're watching their own and others' videos. So each participant will have enough of those feedback forms for themselves and each of the other participants. And you will as well. I'm comfortable with everybody giving that person all of the written feedback at the end of their particular session. Comfortable holding that back. I think that's a pact that the group needs to make. In an open enrollment setting, I see no reason why you might hold that paper back, but who knows? I've got it timed out in the written instructions. I'm thinking it's roughly, when you go back to review the videos, it's roughly 20 to 25 minutes per person. I think it's probably closer to 20. Chances are you're going to have either 4 or 5 participants. Those of you who have 5 participants will certainly have a little bit longer that you need to go. If you have 4 participants, you might be able to stretch that out if you like, or have a conversation at the end, or simply send them back to the classroom. Whatever you choose to do would be fine with me. Hey guys, please forgive. I hear my own ums. Oh my goodness. So please forgive. One take, no script. Just wanted to give you a verbal description of what we are going to be doing during the course of day 2 afternoon. Appreciate your attention and can't wait to see you. I'm recording this for a November 2016 program. You might be watching it for a program that I'm not even teaching. At any rate, have a great time. The women get so much out of this. The participants report going back and having conversations with their boss in a manner that they have never had before. And their boss is being really impressed with the clarity and confidence with which they are speaking. And that is the safe practice field that you're creating for them Wednesday afternoon. Thanks. Take care. See you soon. Bye-bye.